Hi everybody, it is Julie. Welcome back to Pages and Pens. Today I am here dissecting rejection letters. Let's jump right into it. You didn't hear me wrong. Today I am going to be dissecting and reading you pretty much all of the rejection letters that I have gotten while querying. And this is a collaboration with Katlyn, Duncan, author. I will have her listed down below. We came up with this idea because we're both querying at the same time, and because we both responded a little bit differently to our rejection letters. Katlyn is a traditionally published and now leaning towards hybrid published author. She writes young adult novels. She writes paranormal YA, she writes thrillers, she writes adult contemporary women's fiction, has a wide range of experiences within the publishing industry. I don't. My response to some of these letters was a little bit different than her response to some of her letters. We have definitely taken away different things from all of our querying experiences. Her video will be listed down below so you can see what her reactions are to some of the queries that she's been getting. But we also queried some of the same agencies, and letters that kind of broke me, I realized after the fact, were still form letters. It became important for both of us to want to kind of break down the stigma around rejection letters. And a lot of our writer friends or people that are aspiring to be published authors or writers tend to have this idea that you can't possibly face querying because you couldn't handle the rejection of querying. I discussed a little bit about that in my Writerly I Could Never video, where I see a lot of people stopping before the querying stage because they don't think that they can handle the rejection that they might face during querying. Not might, you will face rejections during querying. I'm here to tell you that you absolutely can. There is almost no personalization to these rejection letters. There is very little that is soul crushing aside from the quantity of no's that you might be getting. I am here to just kind of tell you it really isn't that scary. It really isn't that tragic. I'm here to break down which ones are just pure form, which ones you might be able to glean a little bit of information about your query package from, and then probably one of the most offending responses that I've gotten. We're going to get to that one at the end, but we're just going to start off nice and slow, ease us into this so that you can see exactly what a rejection letter sounds like. I have taken out all of the agency names, agent names, and anything that would identify where the letters are coming from, but otherwise, this is word for word the emails that I have gotten throughout my querying journey. There's a lot of them, so buckle up. For things like Query Manager, where you get a form that you fill out online to submit your work, they must have like a form rejection letter that they also offer the agents, because a lot of these are very, very similar. And when I had like an exact match of an answer from one agent to another or one agency to another, I only included that rejection once. Here we go, breaking the myth around rejection letters and the fact that you can't handle a rejection letter. I promise you, none of these are going to break you. You'll see me probably, like, I'm not going to be crying through this video. This is not a traumatic video for me to make. I want to do this because I truly do believe that while facing people saying no to you can be difficult, at the end of the day, you want an agent who loves your story, who loves your work, who wants to go out there and vigorously promote it and sell it to publishers. And if that's not who they are, then that's okay. They can pass. Excuse me if I'm squinting or if I'm looking away from the camera. I'm just trying to read. Let's just jump right into the "you probably won't even hear from us again" responses. For the majority of submissions, especially through Query Manager, you will get an auto response that says, "Thank you for querying such and such agency or such and such agent. Please keep track of this email," because you can go to the Query Manager and you can trace like whether or not they've seen it or how they feel about it. You can trace it on their website and kind of track it through them, which is very helpful if you use something like Query Tracker, because you can then say they rejected or time ran out, etc. So these are the "you're probably not going to hear from us again," and that comes directly upon submitting your query. So here are a couple of those. "Thank you for sending your query. Due to high volume of emails we're receiving, it is not possible for us to provide response to every email. If you don't hear from us within 2 months, it unfortunately means that your query is not the right fit for our list. If we have requested your manuscript, we will provide a response, though there may be delay in doing so." Here's another one. If we are interested in seeing material, we normally respond between 4 to 6 weeks. If you've not heard from us after 4 to 6 weeks, you may assume that we have reviewed your query and determined that your project is not the best fit for our agency. And another one. Your submission is important to us. Please know that every query is given extensive consideration. If we do not respond with a request for additional material within 3 weeks, we have elected to pass. This means that the material is not right for us at this time, but this is subjective, and another agent or editor may feel differently. Do not, in all capital letters, do not be discouraged. As with any partnership, it is important to find the best match. Unless they want to see pages from you, are not going to hear from them again. And these are also ones that don't say, hey, if you don't hear from us in 3 to 4 weeks, please nudge us and we'll respond one way or the other on your query. These are just people saying, you're never going to hear from us again. And in all those situations, I didn't hear from them again, which is fine. Because like that last one said, this is a partnership. You want somebody that's passionate about your project. If they're not, then that's fine. This hair is drying, but we're going to try to put it down here and just let it do its thing. And next up is a form rejection letter with zero personalization. They're just going in there and saying, not for me. Also, let me know in a comment down below if you sense a similarity between all of these rejections in their closing sentences, because I die laughing every time. First one is, thank you so much for thinking of me with this project. Unfortunately, it doesn't match what I'm looking for at this time. This is an incredibly subjective business, so I encourage you to keep submitting this, and I hope other agents feel differently. Okay, thank you. Thanks for writing me and letting me take a look at Pierce the Veil. I apologize for the form letter, but the volume of queries I receive makes it impossible to send personal responses to every writer. Unfortunately, I must pass on your material. I realize it is difficult to judge your potential from a query and first 5 pages alone, but please know I gave serious attention to every letter and writing sample that I receive. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to consider your work. Unfortunately, I don't believe I'm the right person to represent it effectively. Thank you. Publishing is a subjective industry, so please don't be discouraged. I wish you the absolute best of luck finding an agent who can represent your work with the enthusiasm it deserves. Again, it sounds encouraging and it sounds very sweet. They definitely dull the pain of it, but it's a no, and that is still a form. I'm sorry to write that I am passing on your project, as it does not seem like a fit for my list at this time. Please be aware that this is a selective and subjective industry. What doesn't fit one agent may be an excellent fit for another. Honing craft and searching widely is key. Thank you for thinking of me for this project, and best of luck with your future queries. A little bit of form advice on the end there. And that's not to say like, hey, your story was garbage, but also like continue to keep working and keep querying. And it's a form rejection. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I appreciate the opportunity to consider your writing. Unfortunately, your project does not sound like a good fit for me at this time, and so I will have to pass. Thank you again for considering me, and best of luck with your future queries. Thanks so much for the chance to consider your work, but I'm afraid I'm going to step aside. Sorry this wasn't for me, and wish you the best of luck finding a home for your work. I'm sorry, but Pierce the Veil is not a fit for me at this time. Thank you for considering me, and best of luck and success in your career. Thank you. After reviewing your material, I have determined that this project is not quite the right fit for me, and so I'm going to pass. As you know, much of this business is based on personal taste, so I wish you all the best finding the right representation for Pierce the Veil. Thank you again for taking the time to share your work with me. It is always appreciated. And I will also state that anytime my title is mentioned, it is in all capital letters. It pulls from my query and auto-fills into a form rejection. You can tell because it doesn't match the rest of the font. Not the font, but it doesn't fit the rest of their letter. Pierce the Veil is in all capitals, and then everything else is capitalized and lowercase correctly, so you can tell it's just a pull from the email paste into a form rejection. Thank you for sending me your query. I appreciate the opportunity to consider it! ! Unfortunately, this book isn't the right fit for my list at this time, and you deserve an unequivocally enthusiastic agent as your advocate. Agree with that wholeheartedly. That was probably one of the first ones that I received, and it really did set a tone for me of realizing that I want somebody who's so excited about my book that they can't say no. And, you know, until that happens, I'm okay with these. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to review your work. Unfortunately, it's not the right fit for my list. However, I wish you the best of luck in your search for the right agent, and I hope to see you in print soon. Thank you for your thoughtful email. After careful consideration, I don't feel your work is the right fit for me at this time, so it's best for me to pass. As you know, this is an almost entirely subjective industry, and I would not be surprised if another agent feels a bit more strongly soon. In any case, I thank you again for the opportunity and wish you the very best moving forward. Again, encouraging, but a rejection and a form. Thank you for considering me, but your project does not sound like a fit for me at this time, so I will have to pass. However, this industry is very subjective, and another agent may feel differently. Then we have one that says, thank you for your query. Please know I carefully considered Pierce the Veil, again in all capitals, so it's just pulling from my submission, but I don't feel I can offer representation at this time. Keep going with it. WritersDigest.com, ManuscriptWishlist.com, and QueryTracker.com are great resources for researching literary agents. I wish you the best of luck. This one I wasn't sure whether or not to be offended by, because obviously I've done research on those sites because I found this agent. Thanks for including some resources. There might be other people querying that aren't using those resources, so I suppose that is helpful. Thank you for sending this my way. I am not enough in love with it to offer representation, but I wish you the best of luck with it and feel free to query me again in the future. So that one was nice, right? I didn't love it enough, but hope to hear from you again with other work, basically saying keep writing, keep trying. That's kind of the end of the really no personalization. But here is form rejection still, but with a little less sting, which I don't think any of these have really had sting to begin with. Thank you very much for your query, which I read with great interest. Unfortunately, the project does not seem right for this agency, and we're sorry that we can't offer to serve you as literary agents. This was a submission to the full agency. We also apologize for the form rejection. The sheer number of queries we receive prevents personalization. In order for us to respond in a timely fashion, we wish you all the best finding more suitable representation, encourage you to query widely, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to consider your work. Still a form. They read it with great interest. Still a form. But did that one hurt? No. None of them hurt. Maybe one of them hurt, but we'll get to that later. Dear Julie, thank you so much for your query. I appreciate the opportunity to consider your work, but unfortunately, after careful consideration, I've decided to bow out. I'm truly sorry not to be able to offer you representation, and I wish you the very best of publishing luck as you move forward. We understand that writing is a passion, an intensely personal calling, and a long-time dream for many, and frequently a lonely endeavor. We have great respect for authors, and we share the writer's passion. That is why we are literary agents. Unfortunately, publishing is a business that necessarily involves a lot of rejection at every stage. One of the most difficult things for us as agents is to have to say no. Yet we can only take on a small fraction of all the work we see, and this is simply the business reality. We say no for many reasons, because of changing trends in the market, because we already have something similar on our list, because we know of similar published or forthcoming titles, or because something isn't the right fit for us. Because something may be strong, well-written, and even publishable, we didn't fall in love with it. Please do try to keep this one no in perspective. This is a highly subjective business, and another agent may adore your work. All it takes is one yes. We wish you success in finding that yes, whether it's with us or another agent or publisher. Thank you for thinking of us and giving us the opportunity to view and consider your work, which is a form, but possibly one of the most emotionally gratifying, satisfying, and comforting no's I've received. The fact that they acknowledge that writing is intensely personal, a lifelong dream, and can sometimes feel lonely, and that they're encouraging you to just take this no in stride. That is probably my favorite rejection letter ever. I got that and it felt like a hug. And when I send out batches of queries, sometimes I get batches of rejections. And that one was just oh, that was really, really nice. I wanted to share that one because this is not a soul-crushing no. That's not a tragic no. Thank you for sending over your submission. While I appreciate the amount of work you've put into creating this story, I'm unfortunately going to have to pass on this project. As you may know, fiction is very subjective, and just because this isn't a fit for me doesn't mean someone else won't feel differently. I wish you the best of luck moving forward. This one says, I hope you, your family, and friends are all safe and well during this difficult time. Thank you for letting me review your query and sample material for Pierce the Veil, which I read with great interest. Unfortunately, I've determined I'm not the appropriate agent to represent this material. In this very competitive market, I'm simply not enthusiastic enough about my ability to sell this work to offer representation. I wish you the best of luck placing this successfully. Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to consider it. Kind of just a little bit of like a personal touch there. We're in a pandemic. I know this is emotionally draining already. Thank you so much for sending this and giving me the opportunity to read. Unfortunately, the pages didn't quite resonate with me on the level I need to take on a project, so I'm going to step aside. I'm a firm believer that every book should have an agent who's head over heels for it and will stand by it through thick and thin, and anything less is a disservice to the story, so please know that this is a very subjective business and another agent may feel differently. Best of luck in making the right match. Again, just a reminder that if an agent does not passionately want to represent your story, then the no is a gift. Rather than having an agent that you then sign with or lock your story in with, and then you can't query anybody else or do anything with it, and it dies on their desk because they can't sell it or they're not passionate enough to really put in the work to sell it. I don't want that, you know? So this to me is very encouraging, right? Like, thank you for saying no so that somebody else who's right can say yes. It's not soul crushing. A couple more. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to consider Pierce the Veil. It's clear that you have devoted a lot of hard work on this project and your passion comes through in your writing. However, while there is a lot to be commended, I struggled to connect with the manuscript in a meaningful way, and therefore don't believe I would be the most effective champion for your book. Please remember that publishing is a subjective industry, and that another agent may feel differently. I'm sorry to not have better news for you, but wish you all the best on your road to publication. That's still a form, not necessarily a reflection on me or my writing. Sounds like they're saying something negative about my writing, but that is still a form letter, not a personalization. I know because Pierce the Veil still came through in the all capitals where they just pulled it into a form letter. You learn to notice those things, and it feels like it would be something personal. That felt like if I had gotten that as one of my first rejections, I would have taken that as a personalized letter where they were saying there was something inherently wrong that they didn't connect with my story. It's not something to get upset about. Now we're going to get into the form rejections that still have a nugget of usable information. For me, these are things that I took and I went, aha, okay, this is going right, or ooh, maybe I need to look at this thing. Although I found your query interesting, I didn't feel connected to the characters as I had hoped. Due to this, I won't be asking to read more at this time. Keep in mind that publishing is a very subjective industry, and what might not work for me may work for another agent. I hope you'll continue to learn and practice your craft. Thank you again for considering me. I'll be cheering you on, and I wish you the very best in finding the right agent to champion your work. I read your query with interest, which means my query letter worked. Okay, so that tells me that at least with my submission package, my query letter, not a problem. That engaged them, they read my pages. I didn't feel connected to your characters. Oh man, that one hurt so bad because I love my characters. I feel like I write my characters really well. Like, of all of the things that I write, I feel like my characters work. So that one I was like, oh my God, I'm questioning everything about myself. But then Kate got the same email. So I was like, it is a form. I felt a lot better about it, but I do know from this that my query letter works, which is important to figure out. It says, I hope you continue to learn and practice your craft. Ouch, what are you saying? Like, hey, psst, your writing is garbage. Keep trying, which it's not. It's a form, and I think that in general, we know as we write, we get better. They're saying, don't take this no as an end-all be-all, but also keep writing. Keep trying other projects, keep doing other things, continue to grow, continue to learn, which I think all writers do inherently. But there are, some nuggets to be taken here. A, this is still a form, so don't get butthurt over the fact that they said your characters didn't work for them. B, don't get butthurt over the fact that they said, keep working. And C, yay, my query letter works. Next one is, I'm so sorry I missed this email. It had sat in their inbox for a while. Thank you so much for sharing this with me and for your patience. I hope the last bit of 2020 is going as well as possible for you. I've had the chance to look and I feel like I'm not quite the right fit, so I'm going to bow out. Still, your resume is amazing and I hope you continue writing and sending out your work. Again, thank you for thinking of me and I hope this finds you and yours well in this unusual time. So what does this tell me? This tells me that my query letter, my credentials, my prior writing experience works. That the story might not have been right for them, but the query letter, the package, not the issue. It gives me something to go off of that's at least a little bit hopeful. So the last one is a rejection that is not a standout. It doesn't break me. It's no less supportive and no less, subjective industry leaning than any of the other ones. It's how it came to me. I queried a specific agent and I got an answer from someone else. Dear Julie, thank you so much for sending your query to Redacted. And thank you for your patience while she considered it. She regrets that her busy schedule does not allow for a personal response, and she has asked me to respond on her behalf. She appreciated the opportunity to see your material, but unfortunately she is unable to offer representation at this time due to the enormous number of submissions we receive here at Redacted and an already crowded client list. We are forced to be extremely selective when considering new clients. Please remember that this is only one opinion in a highly subjective business, and another agent may feel differently. Feel free to try another agent here at Redacted if you feel they may be a good fit. Good luck in finding representation, and thank you again for thinking of Redacted. Signed, a completely different person at that agency. I think that was probably the most offensive rejection letter that I got. Not because of the content of the rejection letter, but just like, that's a form rejection. It literally takes my title in all caps and plugs it into a form rejection. And there's no reason the person I queried couldn't have had a form rejection that still said it was from them, that was sent out by somebody else. The fact that the form rejection had to come with somebody else's signature instead of that person's signature blows my mind, because it's a form rejection. Clearly you have access to that person's email because you found my query in their email. So just answer on their behalf as them. And then I don't have to know that I didn't even warrant a response from that agent. I was so ticked off by that response. Blowing to me that that was the way that they chose to conduct themselves, present themselves. And I won't tell the name of the agency, but it is a very large agency and one that I thought would have represented itself better than that, because there was absolutely ways to get around that where they could have responded from the agent that I actually queried. How carefully did you consider something if you don't even have the time to shoot off a form rejection? But it got to me because I just felt like it was very dismissive, but it didn't get to me because they said something negative about my writing. As you can see, almost every single rejection comes with, this industry is very subjective and another agent might feel differently. Don't give up just because we don't want it. I legitimately had to cut that out of so many of the form rejections. It's just a fact of this industry. Everything is very, very subjective. So you can't let yourself get upset over somebody not wanting it, because again, if they don't want to champion it, if they don't love it enough, if they're not confident enough that they can sell it. That was one of the things that I had in one of my letters. I enjoyed it, but I'm not confident enough in my ability to sell this, which means it's more of a market thing because it is a contemporary fantasy than a writing thing, right? Like, they have to be able to sell it. If they don't think they can sell it and the market's not right for them to sell it, then why would they take it? All of this to say, the rejections are not soul crushing. The rejections are not going to leave you in a puddle, in your bed, in a funk. Not one of these, with the exception of that one that was talking about my characters not coming through, which was a form and not necessarily a reflection on my writing. None of them upset me. I have legitimately laughed over some of them. I have felt very warm and fuzzy about some of them that were just like a hug of a rejection. Like, a very sweet rejection can actually feel kind of nice, honestly, at the end of the day, when a lot of them are very short and kind of dismissive and don't offer you anything. When they offer you a little bit of a warm hug, it kind of feels nice. So hopefully, if nothing else, this shows you that there's nothing to truly be afraid of when you're querying. If you're afraid that the rejections are going to make you feel horrible about your writing, they're not. there's very little that's said about your actual skills, talents, writing, your actual work. Maybe this gives you a little glimpse into what querying actually looks like, what the rejections from querying actually looks like. They are not going to leave you broken. So if you're afraid of querying because you're afraid of what rejections look like, hopefully this gives you the courage to realize that they are not going to be something that is an issue for you. I promise you, they're okay. Do be sure to check out Kate's channel, linked down below, and if I remember, in a card up above, because she does have a different take on this. She does come at this from a little bit of a different lens than I do. She did get some different kinds of rejection letters because of her resume and her writing experience. She is still querying, but she's querying from a different level where she has a professional resume behind her, whereas I don't. She does have a different perspective, and she does have some different kinds of rejections that you can get some information from over on her channel. So do be sure to check her out. That is going to be it for this one. I hope that you guys have taken something away from this. If you have, please let me know down below. It does make going through all of this and kind of laying it out there on the line a little bit more comforting. You know, be the warm hug rejection. Let me know down below if you got something from this video. Hopefully you did. That is it for this one. So if you liked it, be sure to leave a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up, click subscribe, click the notification bell so you know when I put out new content, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye guys.